Hey everyone, welcome back to the range. My name is Matt, also known as the King of Armor Destruction, the Armor Wizard, Zap, and we have a body armor demo today. Bonus points if you know what this shirt is in reference to. I picked it up from Midwest Armor, big thank you to them. Anyways, in full transparency, Hesco sent us over some of the new L210s to demo with no strings attached. Let's go to the B-roll and check out what we've got today. We've previously tested the Hesco L210 on the channel. It didn't do so hot the first time we tested it, and then during a retest it did a little better. It's effectively a good 5.56 SRT special rifle threat plate, but it doesn't do too well against any 308. The advantage of our L210 is that the backing material has been changed to a ultra high molecular weight polyethylene versus an E-glass that it used to be. This particular L210 weighs 4.95 pounds or 2.248 kilograms. It is approximately 750 thousandths thick or 19.1 millimeters. It is single curve. We only have that one rolling curve right there. There isn't any more curves this way. Depending on your body type, certain curvatures do fit and are more comfortable than others. Now, if this is the first time you're viewing my YouTube channel, we do all of our body armor demos completely different than everyone else on YouTube. We're after worst case scenario. That way, if I shoot M855A1 of this plate going 3,300 feet per second, it doesn't penetrate. You know, in the real world, anybody shooting a 16, 10.5 inch or 11.5 inch at distance is not going to penetrate your plate. Since this is rifle armor, we shoot at 45 feet. We also shoot at 0 degrees because that represents worst case scenario. We also use a giant clay briefcase filled with Roma Plastilina #1 clay from Chavant. That acts as our compressible media to put the body armor up against. It's the same clay that the NIJ uses, but they heat it up to 100 degrees and they certify that dent by dropping a ball on it a few times. Since we're out here in the woods, it's about 70 degrees outside today. I can't keep that clay up to temperature, so we're looking at a representation of what backface could be. If we see like 60 millimeters in my clay from a 5.56 load, that's not going to be a good sign. Since this employs a ceramic strike face per the NIJ, we've gone ahead and dropped this plate 2 times on its face as a preconditioning test. After we performed our drop test, we mark a DT indicating that we've done that, and if we do it more than 2 times, we add a number there. We also then do a torque test. That's where we apply opposing force to each corner of the plate to listen for any cracking in the ceramic strike face. This does not employ any drop face foam, but we didn't hear any cracking on either plate, so we mark it with a TQ and a check mark. This L211 does, from what I can tell, pre-tear down employ a full edge-to-edge ceramic strike face, meaning that our strike face extends almost all the way to the complete edge of the plate. There are some manufacturers who will sell you a lighter plate, but they have 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch, or more of foam on the outer perimeter of there, and that's an attempt to sell you a lighter plate. Some companies are very transparent about that. The NIJ will not take edge shots because of the uncertain amount of variables that exist, and the bullet could go out this way or whatever, so they shoot a minimum of 2 to 3 inches from the edge. We also use a Pro Chrono Pal Digital DLX because we need to capture the velocity of the round that we're shooting. If I'm shooting M855A1 out of a 22-inch barrel, it should be going at least 30-50, if not over 3,100 feet per second. We put a spreadsheet here at the beginning and the end, and we kind of foreshadow all the threats we're going to shoot at it. We fill that out with our velocities and our penetrations, and then at the end we do a tear down and we kind of confirm what the guts of our plate look like. I do want to remind everyone that I am not an NIJ lab, so if you see a threat stopped or penetrate over here, you should always defer to the manufacturer to produce accredited lab results. Now, a lot of these plates are not NIJ certified, meaning that there is no requirement for them to do a follow-up testing and inspection on that. If the company's ISO certified, they should be testing a certain percentage of each one of their lots. But when in doubt, always ask them for an updated, 1 to 2 years ago or even current lab result from whatever plate you're looking at buying to ensure that they're actually doing their testing and being 100% transparent. And on the flip side, if you're the manufacturer and you see me stop something saying threat on your plate, you should send that off to the lab and have it added as a special rifle threat to your panel. Plate number 1 is strapped in and ready to go. Since our L211 is a special rifle threat plate, I figured I would start off with the highest standard against this rating, and that is the 7.62 by 3.9 API BZ. This is a Yugo variant, and What better to shoot it out of than a Hugo M59 SKS? A big thank you to Atlantic Firearms for sending this over. Now we're also running our Garmin Zero C1 on the same day today to see if it will pick up velocities from our armor testing or not, because it says you need about 20 yards. .2498. I'm not sure what the light screen chronograph said. We'll have to compare these numbers. When I was testing the other day, this was reading around 30 feet per second faster, but it's good that it's actually reading it. Just like our L210, we're gonna hit the L211 with a barrage of 5.56 threats from our 22-inch TC compass. Again, this is maximum real-world threat value. I do believe some of Hesco's ratings for these projectiles are under what the maximum velocity this barrel can get. So we've got 3 bullet types here. We're gonna save plate number 2 for some special threats. We've got M193, that's our 55 grain full metal jacket. Then we have M855, that's the 62 grain lead core with the conical steel penetrating tip. Then we have M855A1, that is the EPR round, 62 grains, copper core, much larger and harder steel penetrating tip than M855. And then this one will go right next to it. Now onto the M855A1. Smoked another strap. That was a little on the close side to the M193 shot. Looks like we had some pretty good spacing on these shots. One of these might not be fair right there, but M193 shots number 1 and 2. Then our M855 shots number 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then our M855A1 shot number 1. The original API BZ shot right there. A1, 2, 3, 4. And then our M193 number 3 and 4 down there. We've saved this part of the plate for maybe some 5.45 threats. Place those bets in the comments below. Smoked a couple straps today. Thank you to all my Patreon supporters. R.A.N.G.E. We had one pass through just on the API BZ. I'll have to check Hesco's rating for that, and maybe 2450 or maybe 2350. We'll have to annotate otherwise, but we stopped that barrage of 5.56 threats. Some of these are looking a little worse for wear. Maybe the second plate we shoot our 22 Creedmoor Super Speed 5.56 at it, but that might just be a little mean, but fairly impressive so far. Now, originally on the L210, we weren't stopping all of these at that full speed. Our back face down here on that A1 shot seems to be the worst, but it was already in a compromised area. Right around 59 millimeters, kind of worse for wear. This one over here, the edge shot, 34. Again, remember, this is not a level 3 plate. This is an SRT designed for 5.56 threats. So we are being thin and light and giving up a little back face, but our polyethylene is doing a good job at containing those threats. I figured we'd throw one more small caliber high velocity threat at plate number 1, and that's our 5.45, effectively a 52 grain full metal jacket with a hardened steel penetrating core versus the original 7 and 6, which had a mild steel core. This was donated by my buddy Andy Morris. A big thank you to him. We have our SSG. This has like a 23.5-inch barrel. So again, maximum real world velocity here. .3108 is what the Garmin said. I'll have to see what you guys see over there. Now this one's to have just a little bit of fun. I've tested 8.6 black in the past against various types of body armor. This particular bullet excels in our copper solids at penetrating our soft armor. It penetrated another SRT plate. So I'm curious on what it will do against an alumina strike face plate. This is a 300 grain copper solid from Halworks. A big thank you to them. Doing a review on that ammunition right now. All right, I would consider those fair hits. 7N6M shot number 1. Number 2 are 8.6 black shots number 1 and number 2. I'm kind of running out of threats to throw at this plate unless we go to 308, but it's not ready for 308. Place those bets in the comments below. Ho! No pass-throughs, folks. Our little fancy 8.6 black was stopped, as well as our advanced 7N6M. We'll peel this cover off during the teardown and confirm, because some of these look like they're almost failing, but I don't see a pass-through there. But we will tear this down to confirm, because sometimes mistakes are made, and we'll always annotate if we find out different. Plate number 2 is ready to go. Now this is completely outside of the purview of this plate, but I figured it would be a good test. We've got a 16-inch 308 right here. We've backed the L211 with a high-end pure polyethylene 3A from Stealth Armor Systems. That's their Razor line. We have 2 rounds of our M80 ball. This is Winchester surplus. This is bimetal, meaning that there is a magnet attracting material in the jacket, likely steel, and it's copper clad or copper coated tinned or whatever. So we'll take the 2 shots of that. 2649. Nice. These shots should be easy enough, number 1. And number 2, place those bets in the comments below. No pass-through, folks. That dimple, though, look at how excessive that is and how much it spreads out the plate. We'll have to be very careful with some extra shots on this to see how it does. Obviously, here's our 3A backer. There are our 2 dimples. If we measured them, that one's right around 37 millimeters. This one, right around 23. So if you were looking at doing one of these very thin plates and you wanted somewhat of a guarantee possible protection against 308 at range, not QCB, mind you, with anything longer than a 16-inch barrel, definitely want to back this with a 3A. There's not a whole lot I can throw at plate number 2, but let's be a little mean to it. After all, I am the king of armor destruction. I bring to you folks 22 Creedmoor. This is an 18-inch upper from KAK Industries. A big thank you to them. A very nicely built, solid upper. 22 Creedmoor is like a more efficient 22-250. It works off faster twist rates. This is 1 in 7. And for me, I can put military loadings into it. We've got our 31 grain SS190 in 5.7. We've got M193. We have M855 and M855A1. 4510, folks. Woo! 3827 for M193. Now our M855, 3563, 3583, smoking hot, folks, yeah! I'm curious on how this super speed played out with this plate. SS190, M193, M855, M193, and our A1. Those velocities from that 18-inch are smoking. Just imagine a 21-inch or 24-inch. Bets in the comments below. Ho! No pass-throughs, folks. Now that's amazing. This polyethylene is good at catching some of that speed if the ceramic strike face cannot degrade it. I'm very interested to know how far, say, the A1 made it in there as far as our polyethylene goes. You know, we are seeing some dimpling there, but that's impressive. That super speed 22 Creedmoor is hard to stop in some of our plates, and we stopped it with a special rifle threat plate. Paging Dr. Matt to surgery. Paging Dr. Matt to surgery. Now for a fan favorite, the teardown. That's where we can see what the guts of our plate looks like. We'll start with plate number 2. Confirmed we have no pass-through penetrations on this plate. Hesco does a pretty good job at wrapping their plates. It takes me a couple minutes to get into them. I've certainly got into easier and or harder plates, but they do a pretty good job with their wrapping. Like I said, the main difference between the Hesco L210 and the L211 that we have here is we're using a 100% pure polyethylene backer or ultra high molecular weight polyethylene. I measured around 384 thousandths. Hesco does press their backers, but this one has started to delaminate a little bit, and you can see that muzzle energy transfer on there has just done wonders on it. Still can't thumb through it like a book per se, but it doesn't seal or doesn't stay together very well. Here is our laminated strike face, which is paramount to providing multi-hit capability and keeping as much of this ceramic together as long as possible, so that if you take a shot up here and it cracks, it stays together so a shot down here wouldn't be compromised. I measured this right around 263 thousandths. The actual ceramic could be thinner because of the laminating layer. The L210 does not use any kind of drop face foam protectant on the strike face. You can see no foam there. They do put a little bit of foam on the outside edge, as you can see there, to protect that strike face against any side strikes. That is a good thing right there. Otherwise, that pretty much looks unchanged, maybe from the L210. Hard to say. They probably won't confirm. Plate number 1, we have one retraction. We had the API BZ penetrate, as well as this M855A1 shot right here. It could be argued that that is 2 inches and a fair hit. Likely this compromised enough of that area to cause a penetration. So that's why we always do these teardowns. So there was the API BZ, and then there was the M855A1. I did recover both of the 8.6 black rounds, and it's amazing how far they made it into this plate. Now, granted, it would already been shot to high hell, but we actually recovered it way back here. So there's not much of that polyethylene left. So had that not mushroomed over, it likely could have penetrated. There's the other one right there. We'll pull that guy out of there. Look at that. Pretty darn impressive. And with that being said, that's all there is to this teardown, folks. Well, folks, there you have it. I think I can definitively say that our Hesco L211 is an upgrade over the L210. We were stopping threats that the L210 couldn't, and well above the theoretical max velocity of some of those 5.56 threats. We even stopped 2 rounds of our 308 ball from our shorter 16-inch. Now, the back face was quite large on that, but it did stop it. In the prior test, only the M210 was able to stop those rounds. I do like the construction that Hesco has done with a lot of their plates. I love the laminated strike face that keeps all that ceramic together as long as possible. I like that we have the foam perimeter on the outside of our strike face to keep that protected. I do like that they're pressing their backers, but to offer some constructive criticism, we need to do a better job of keeping that strike face and that backer together as long as possible. Maybe we need a little more heat or more tonnage when we're pressing those backers so we can keep them together longer. Overall, I think our Hesco L211 is a viable SRT plate. Now, I'm not here to say what plate you guys should use, because every one of your missions could be different. You could want something slightly more covert, i.e. thinner, and you're willing to give up 308 protection to have a thinner plate. Now, this isn't the lightest plate in the world given its category, but it is fairly robust, and we were effectively stopping pretty much any 5.56 threats that someone would encounter in the real world, except for maybe M995. With all that being said, it's time for me to get the heck out of here. But at the end of all my videos, I take a moment to thank all those who help make these possible, because there's a lot that goes into them. Number one is my family. They are out here all the time helping me either take care of the yard or bring a table full of crap out here. Number two is my YouTube channel memberships, Patreon subscribers, and or Subscribestar subscribers. That's a mouthful. I have a campsite in the description below. Effectively, it's a little URL landing page that has different affiliate codes or discount links in it. You know, I've got stuff to Brownells or PSA or Cabela's. So if you're looking at making a purchase and you want to say thank you for the time that I put into this thing, the easiest way to do so is you can check that link, and if there's something you want to buy, it costs you nothing and it earns me anywhere from like 2 to 5%, and I put all that money right back into the channel. Number three is Zach over at Hesco. Again, in full transparency, sent me those L211s to destroy with no strings attached. And of course, number four is you all for watching. Until next time, I'll catch you at the range.